Why South Sudan? An Every Village podcast where we answer questions about the world's youngest nation. The question of the day is, what was it like living in a refugee camp and later moving to America? Hey everyone, this is Tiana Johnston, the host of this podcast called Why South Sudan? So today is extra special because we have a very special guest named Gabriel Ajak. He is actually from South Sudan, living here in Houston. So Gabriel, say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, it's so good to have you here. So a little fun fact for our listeners, we actually met a few weeks ago because we were at HEB on Bunker Hill for those that live here in Houston. And I was checking out and I saw this man and I said, oh, he looks like he is from Southern Sudan. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to meet him. So I went up and started talking to him and it was such a joy. I love hearing just your perspective about South Sudan, about even just the story that God has written in your life. And I said, you have to be on the podcast. So Gabriel, I'm just so happy to have you here today.
I am glad to be here. It was great. It's pretty rare to meet people randomly and then you instantly connect with them. Listening to what you guys do and knowing what you guys do for the people of South Sudan and for the country of Sudan before they split was amazing. Yeah. So God did the connection. Yeah, it was meant to be.
Oh, it's so true. Even talking to you today that you were saying like, oh, Frank Blackwood. And I remember, riding in the car with him. Like, that is so amazing. So I'm excited for you to reconnect even with Frank.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to meet Frank again. He's a great guy. All the great thing they have done for us when we arrive in Houston, not knowing what America life is. And here we are today, 20 plus years later. It's great to be in the studio and looking forward to the podcast.
Yes. All right. So if you first want to introduce yourself, kind of tell the listeners just a brief intro of who you are, and then we'll dive into kind of like your story.
Oh, great. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gabriel Ajak for the American accent, Gabriel Ajak for the Sudanese Dinka accent. So it depends on what demographic you are calling my name. But yeah, I've been in the U.S. for more than 20 years. Came in early 2000 as part of the Lost Boys program. So I live in Houston. I've been in and out. Went to school in Kansas City. That's where I did most of my studies. I volunteer for the South Sudanese communities here in the Houston area. And I also volunteer as a board member for One Tribe program. I started by Elizabeth Hankins many years ago. We used to be called Sister Effect. Then they changed the name later. So I'm one of the executive board members. A lot of great work has been done by the Good Samaritans of Houston for the people of South Sudan and for the people of Sudan. So my profession is in the public service. I've been with the Office of the Homeland Security for about 15 years. That's the only job I have done. It's been a blessing. I couldn't be more proud of the opportunity they have offered me and the good life that came with it. Proud to be a public servant for the American people. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm not that kind of guy that like to talk about himself. So I'm going to let Tiana do all the questioning because that's the only way you can get the best out of me. But I'm so blessed to be here and I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity.
Oh, it's so good. Well, you do a great job at introducing yourself. That was perfect. Okay, so just a little, I guess, like fun fact. So what was your degree? Like, what was your major?
I did finance and economics for both of my MBA and my BA, but then I also have a master's degree in public health or health information technology.
Wow.
So in early 2010, 2011, we were building, like literally building robotics for what is now known as the artificial intelligence or the autonomous robotics. It's something that I'm looking forward to put into work now that AI is becoming a reality.
Whoa.
But at that time, it was just a fun thing for me to do. Um, so
That's
yeah.
so cool. That's awesome. Wow, that's really cool. Okay, so today's question is really just to kind of talk about your story as someone that was from South Sudan and then you transitioned over here to America. So I guess kind of let's even go back to the very beginning. So you actually just showed us on the map your village of where you're from. So share with the listeners kind of what was it like living in a village and then even moving to a refugee camp.
Right, the life in the village was the best. As a child, I mean, growing up wherever you're growing up in your neighborhood, in your community, is always the best because you don't know the outside world. So living in the village before the war began in the 80s, it was one of the best life. My family has always involved in community leadership, in tribal leadership, in national politics. So I was aware of my surrounding growing up. Even when the war started in the 80s, I kind of knew what was coming and what was happening at that time. But nonetheless, life in the village was the best. It literally was the best. I mean, looking after the goats and, raising cattle, learning how to do farming in the early age was some of the best experience. And they did help me when I moved to the refugee camp, and even when I moved to the U.S.
Mm. So question, so being, I mean, obviously you were a shepherd boy. Were you going to school in the village at all?
No, I didn't. In fact, I didn't start schooling until I moved to the refugee camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
How old do you think you were then?
I think I was 14, 15, or 16.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started very, very late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible even now to hear. I mean, you MBA, you have a BA, like, I mean, just masters, everything. Like, that's incredible. So I love that even depicting like living in the village because I know, granted, me living in South Sudan is still way different. I still lived like a privileged life for a missionary or I guess for a South Sudanese person living in South Sudan, like very privileged, but I loved it. I just love living in, oh, yeah, I think it's just a place of being so dependent on God and just seeing the beauty all around. And just you're so focused on the day. You're not worrying about next week or the week after. Here in America, I mean, we're living on schedules constantly. So I think that is a gift about living in South Sudan for sure.
It is. Yeah, it's a privilege because you're connected to the nature. At least that's is my perspective growing up in the village. But also, there are other challenges, and for the people that have been outside of the village and they're coming in, yeah, it depends. But it to me, is the best life possible for the young me at that time. So,
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's funny because even when we have people come on trips, I say, like, if you can camp, you can go to South Sudan. But it's crazy because even though if they camp here in America, still going over there is still so, so hard. So it's still just a different life for sure.
it is.
Okay, so then let's transition to you then moving to the refugee camp. Was it just you or was it with your family?
It was me and my family. So we kind of get scared. Me and my brother, we live in the refugee camp in Kenya, but the rest of my family lived in Sudan, now South Sudan. But it was a displaced. They call it internal displaced camps
Hmm.
for people that are displaced from their villages to other part of Sudan or South Sudan at that time during the war. So I lived there temporarily, and then I moved to the Kakuma camp in the 90s, like kind of late 90s. Yeah, and that's basically where I started my schooling.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was constant moving during the internal displaced camp. People were moving all the time because of the war, and the SPLA was kind of relocating civilians, distancing them from the front line, the war zones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it became very difficult to even think about going to school. So moving to Kenya to join my brother, who was there early in the refugee camp in Kakuma, was the best thing. And obviously, it turned out good for me because that's where I found an opportunity to come here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question for living in the like refugee camp. So one, because the multiple tribes are coming. So did you all have kind of like, the Dinka lived over here, the Bongo lived over here, or the.
So in the refugee in Kakuma refugee camp was divided into zones. I think there was about 7 zones, zone 1 to 7, and there were grouped within the zone. So yes, there were part of the zone that were predominantly or 100% the Dinka, but then you have other zones that were other tribes, the Equatorian, the Nuer, and the camp was not only for the Sudanese. There were other African refugees, Somalian, Burundi, people from the DRC. It was at that time, I think the camp was 80,000 to 100,000 people.
Wow.
But yeah, the zone were segment based on the tribal identity, but not so much of it. Because the UN didn't want people to live by their tribe because they understood, tribal conflict could arise at any time. So kind of mixing up was the approach they had in mind, but people chose to live with their ethnic walk of life for the most part.
Were you living in a mud hut, or was it like the tents?
Yeah. Mud. I don't remember what the distinction was, but it was the same pretty much. It was the mud hut, and then we later start putting the iron sheet on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of help with the rain, because when you have just the grass, it get torn down pretty fast, and during the rainy season, that's not the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the UN started distributing some iron sheets. So in the camp, there were group where the families live, and there were the group where the boys live by themselves. So majority of the kids that didn't have their family members with them, they live in a group. They call them the minor. The minor because they were underage. But they live by themselves.
Wow.
There were some older boys and some younger guys. So yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. And then what did, I guess, food look like? Because I don't know if you could even farm or, like how would people get food?
UN used to distribute the ration. There was every 2 weeks we get a small cup of wheat flour, similar to this, literally identical to this in size. You get a cup of lentils, you get a cup of wheat flour, you got a cup of corn, beans, and then a cup of oil, vegetable oil. Well, this had to last you for 2 weeks. Okay.
Holy smokes! So this is like a mug of coffee is the size.
Literally. So you have to share food. You have to put your food together. So if you and I were living together, right, we put our food together and then we figure it out, because you cannot just have that small food. You have to figure it out how to make it last long for 2 weeks. And a lot of time by day 7, you're out.
Yeah.
So we used to have what we call the black days. Black days are the last 4 days before the next ration. It was the most brutal days.
Wow.
No food, nothing. You have to grind it out.
Wow. Yeah.
So you got to be really, really creative. So part of the creativity is you put your food together and then you figure it out. Can you sell part of it? And a lot of us, we got creative, start putting our food together. We sell a small portion to start some small businesses, because you got to buy yourself clothes. You got to buy, yourself some shoes, notebooks. Like the early time when the camp started, it UN used to provide some school supplies, but then they stopped.
Mm.
So for you to even have a pen or a pencil, you got to figure it out, and they have to come out of your ration. Week doesn't last you for 2 weeks that they meant it to be.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be resourceful. Like, you don't have a choice.
so
But
we
wow.
learn how to be resourceful. We learn how to be resilient.
Mm-hmm.
We learn how to share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not an option. It was a must.
Mm-hmm. Another question that comes to mind is like, was there ever any discussion of like trauma counseling or trauma healing or anything like that, or like any groups like churches coming and doing like
Not that I remember specifically,
mm-hmm.
but there were one of the good thing in the camp. The Episcopal Church of Sudan has institutionalized a lot of small churches within the group and
Mm-hmm.
within the zones. So there was a lot of faith activities that were happening. But if you if you are struggling to feed yourself, it's kind of hard to, for most people to focus on the faith. But a lot of guys, were baptized, were taught. I mean, I learned a lot of the Bible, and during the war, and majority of the time in the camp. So,
Mm.
so I was involved in the ministry, the youth ministry, learning about the Word of God in Dinka. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, because a fun fact for you is like you are like you know how to write
Oh
and read
yeah.
in Dinka, where not a
Yes.
lot of people do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of my Dinka learning, Dinka dialect or Dinka language learning, before I even start the formal school. So I was already embedded in mastering the language, not only to speak it but to read the Bible. And the intention was to read the Bible in Dinka,
Mm.
the New Testament.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, so something I really want our listeners to kind of understand too is that so when you started school at roughly around the age of 14, like you didn't know English, so like you're learning in English. So you're not even learning in your own native tongue. You're learning in a different language, how to
Yes.
read, write, and everything.
Well, man, I remember those days when we start how to read and how to do math because we didn't have school supplies, so we have to do it on the ground, on the sand,
Yeah.
right? One, two, three, A, B, C, D. So yeah, starting learning a foreign language at the age of 14, 16, and here we are today.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I think Americans, we don't fully understand uh yeah, just how amazing. And a lot of times America, we only know one language. But the South Sudanese, most of I feel like even people in the village that I know, I mean, they at least know 4 or 5 languages, or they
Well,
can at least communicate pretty easily.
right, because it's part of living in that society.
Mm.
You have to know more than just one dialect because it's good for your survival. When you meet other people from other tribes, or if you are in trouble or ran into someone that might not be from your tribe and they need help in some ways, or you need help in some ways, it's good to know more than just your native dialect.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really good. Okay, so now let's transition to you moving to America. Was that just,
The
yeah.
part that's that yeah that yeah it was the most amazing thing. At once, I didn't want to come here. I didn't know anyone in the U.S. coming. I mean, thinking about the United States, it's just something that never crosses my mind ever. My brother has to force me to get to apply first, and then in 2000, when my application came back, I refused to do the interview because I'm like, I have my other siblings are back in Sudan, and here we are. We're going to leave the refugee camp, going to the United States or the USA. Like we never been there. Now our family is going to be divided. We don't know where everybody is going to be at. No, I'm not doing it. Yeah, I refuse. I almost ruined my application. So my brother kept pushing, and I said, okay, um, I'm going to do it. but I may not go. And it was the best decision for me on his behalf that he pushing me to do this because I mean I can't imagine what my life would have been now if I didn't move to the U.S. So coming to the U.S. Obviously new world, didn't know anybody at that time. Came to Houston, one of the largest metropolitans. Everything was moving. Um, but one of my uncles came here in the 90s, and I didn't know, came here in 93. He kind of helped us transition. One of the things I remember he told us is you have to learn how to drive. In Houston, there are buses here to get you around, but in order for you to be able to move around and learn the culture and be able to live independently, you got to learn how to drive. So yeah, he taught us how to drive a car. So I got my driver license like early, early around September of 2001. We came in April. So it was one of my success journey in the U.S. I'm like, okay, I'm getting in the culture now. I can drive a car, right? Um, about a year or two ago, I was living in the mud, you know, in the tukul, and here I am driving a car in the U.S. Wow. Yeah, that's what I was telling myself at that time. But there were a lot of cultural shock. Language was difficult. I think we're moving faster. Um, I remember my first job. I was working in a factory that makes window blind. It was a 12-hour shift. We started it with the overnight shift, 7 p.m., 7 a.m., 12 hours. You're grinding it out. In the Houston humidity, sometimes it feel like 100 degrees. You got those big fans running around. You got like a big bells on you because you got to lift more than 50 pounds of products. And I was 5'4", 127 pounds, I think. Yeah. So imagine that.
Oh my gosh, I like can't imagine. So were you going to school immediately once you arrived here, or did you take some time?
No, I didn't. I was trying to figure out because I just finished middle school when I left the camp. I just finished eighth grade, and it was a big deal. So when I got here, um, I was about 18 before my 19th birthday. So because I just finished middle school, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I got to go to high school. I didn't finish high school, but here they are telling us we have to start at community college or going to the university. None of that makes sense to me. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to start there. It's not going to work. I don't even know how to speak the language. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to read. So how am I going to survive college or even community college?
Mm-hmm.
There were other options of doing GED. The idea of GED didn't make sense to me too because they are telling me that I need to complete a 4-year education, which is equivalent to high school, in 6 months, or it didn't make sense to me. So with all of that, I started going to Houston Community College to learn ESL, English as a second language. I enrolled in one of those classes to kind of figure out how the American education system works. And at that time, I was working 12 hours. So, yeah, I got to go to class around 9 o'clock. We leave work at 7 a.m., come home, take a shower for an hour, and then go to class.
Wow.
I was sleeping most of the time because I'm tired, and we have to do it, later in the evening. Anyway, so I figured out that was not the best way to learn the culture or to even get educated. So a friend of mine that I knew in the camp lived in Kansas City. he was part of the program too, and he was going through the same struggle that I was going through. So he contacted one of the legal personnel that was helping the Lost Boys in Kansas City, and that guy connected him with an immigration lawyer. So they help him enroll in one of the local high school. So I saw that as an opportunity for me to go and finish high school, and I did. Moved to Kansas City in July 6th, 2002. The rest is the history.
Wow. Okay, so this is just like a fun question in reference to like the cold, because Kansas City it
Oh yeah.
snows.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
you're going from the heat,
Right.
one of heat of Africa, then now
Mm-hmm.
over to Houston,
Yes.
where we don't get snow either, but then to go where snow is.
Yeah, that part was shocking. Um, when I left Houston, I already had my car, so I drove from here to Kansas City, and so it was fun. It was July, weather was beautiful, but then came December. December 31st was my the first day I experienced snow in Kansas City, and it was kind of interesting. But then the call weather start coming in, and man, I'm like, what did I get myself in? But obviously, I have to be there because that's where my opportunities were. So
The worst is the cold wind. It just feels like it hits your bones. Like
oh,
it's
it
so
does. Oh
cold.
my God, it does. And the worst part of it is the black ice.
Ooh, yeah.
So I used to walk to school because they don't allow you to drive in high school until you are in your junior year. Um, but I started it in the sophomore year under a special program, because I was already
Yeah.
over the age of 18, and I was close to my 20s at that time. So they have to put me in under a special program, and I have to finish within a specific time. So I used to walk to school in a 25-degree weather, bundle up. By the time I get to school, and it's about 20-minute walk, I'm freezing. I'm freezing to my bone. Right. The wind is blowing. I'm covered. I'm all from my head to my toe, but still,
Bless you.
yes.
Oh my goodness.
And I had to do it. So I have to work full time, and because I have to pay for my rent and support my living expenses, and then I have family back too that I have to support.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed to finish my high school, and it opened a lot of opportunities for me. I mean, it helped me get the scholarship to go to college, and.
It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible to hear the beginning to now, but even just the story along the way. So, and this is a culture question because definitely Americans, we do not, we're a very independent culture. So, because you had said, that you even support people back home. Is that a lot of pressure? Is that really hard? Because I think, me and you have discussed too of just, I think the lack of knowledge, especially in the village, that I want to help, but I also have to live here and take care of my family. Yeah, kind of just, I guess, share about the culture
So,
pressure.
yes, it's just both the culture and the responsibility. You have people that you left behind, and for sure there's no other way they will make a living because they didn't have anything when you left, right? If you left the same conditions, and now it's your responsibility to help your family, right? Naturally, traditionally, it's almost an obligation.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there was no other way to look at it. So you have to do it. But for me, me and my brother, we put our resources together, and then we put our siblings to school, because early on I learned that the only way for them and me is for everybody to be self-sufficient, to be independent of their own. And it worked out that way. Both of my siblings, my younger siblings, they went to school. They are independently doing their own thing now.
Oh, wow. Praise God.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's I think it's a blessing to hear your story, but also to see, because I mean, I've heard of some people's stories didn't turn out that way. Like I think there has to be something in you that you have to have that drive and that desire, that you're willing to do that. But also, I really feel like it's God's protection. Like God really.
It is. It
Mhm.
is. My life has always been led by God. I always have faith in the Lord. Even in my younger days before the war began in Sudan, I I always had something in me that is telling me you could do this. So I always trusted my instinct, but at the same time, I know my instinct leads by something else that is more powerful than me.
Mm.
And coming to know God, I believe that was Him telling me that I got to do this and I got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have been blessed. I could not be more grateful for my opportunities here. I have met a lot of great people, yourself included, obviously. For whatever reason, I always run into some amazing person. When I went to Kansas City in high school, I met a woman named Cindy. In fact, I named my daughter Cindy for that
Oh.
reason. Um, and she helped me tremendously. She was my high school counselor. And when I graduated, she left her job and got a job in the college that I was going to.
If that wasn't God's provision, wow.
Trust me. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then she took over my school enrollment,
Mm.
like she was doing in high school. I was just going to school, and she does all the work.
Are you still in contact with her today?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh
so
yeah.
great. Yeah.
And when I had my daughter, it was not even a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I gave my daughter the first name Cindy, and then obviously my grandmother is name also. So she has two names.
Mm-hmm. What's her name?
Atong
Oh.
for the traditional name.
Mm-hmm. And what's your son's name?
Ajak, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but he has these other name. Both of my kid has biblical names,
Mm.
Elijah, and then Cindy.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, you were in Kansas, and so you also finished, so then you went to college, and then when did you end up moving back here to Houston?
2014.
Oh, 2014, yeah.
Yes.
And was that because of employment, or what made you come?
It was time to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was back and forth. Even when I was going to school, I was visiting Houston because Houston has installed something in me, the culture here, the tradition, the family tradition here, a lot of faith institutions, and so many people that I met when I came here. Houston became home. Everywhere I have gone in the U.S., and I have worked in 49 states, nowhere else that I would rather live than here, maybe Kansas City. But the weather was getting into me. So I'm like, I mean, what else can I do here? And I was so thankful to my employer to give me the opportunity to relocate to Houston. I had a great boss. He retired, but like I said, I always have some great people around me for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very thankful.
Ah, that is so good. Oh man, I feel like I could just pepper you all the time with questions. It's so
Bring
good.
them on. That's the only way. That's the only way I could speak, and for your audience to, learn about me. Like I said earlier, it's kind of hard for me to talk about me. But yeah, once you give me the mic,
You share really well. I'm most likely will have you on another episode, just because, yeah, it's such a joy to talk to you, and I'm so thankful that God crossed our paths in HEB of
Yeah.
Houston, Texas.
Yes, yeah, one of my favorite stores, actually my favorite store in Texas.
Yeah.
HEB. I did a case study for HEB when I was in college. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah, that's the only where. I mean, besides Whole Food Market, which is also a Texas store
Oh yeah.
found in Austin in the '80s, I I go to HEB.
Mm-hmm.
I like local businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Well, this was so fun. I'm so thankful that you came on, and thank you for sharing your story and your heart. And I will definitely have you back, and we will talk much more.
I look forward to. I had a lot of time, great time speaking to your audience, and I hope they enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, I think they definitely will. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gabriel. We invite everyone back to the next episode as we answer the question, why every village? Take care.